This is a review of the Laowa 15mm f4.5 shift lens, the widest shift lens for full frame and medium format cameras. So let's take a look. Before we begin, I'd like to thank Venus Optics for loaning me a sample of this lens for a couple of weeks, which is very kind of them. Keep in mind that this isn't a paid or sponsored review, and my opinion is still my own. Now, as someone who has no experience with tilt and shift lenses, using this has been interesting, to say the least. To give you a very layman's description of what a shift lens can do for you, take a look here. As you can see, here is a wide-angle shot taken with the Nikon 14-30 f4. Notice how the buildings are appearing to be stretched or leaning backwards. Now, switching this with the 15mm and you'll see that now all the lines are straight. Shift and tilt lenses are great for architecture and street photography because of their ability to keep lines straight. The Laowa 15mm is part of Laowa's 0D range of lenses, which means that they provide great sharpness and a minimum of distortion. So the 15mm f4.5 shift comes in Canon EF, Nikon F, Sony E, Nikon Z and Canon RF mounts, and I'm using the Nikon Z mount on a Nikon Z6. The build quality is quite sturdy, being that it seems to be made out of metal, and it weighs in around 597 grams. There's 3 rings on this lens, a focus, aperture and shift ring. The focus ring is quite smooth to move, like other Laowa lenses, but doesn't actually allow for fast turning, which is something I really like. The aperture ring sits between the focus and shift rings and clicks with each stop, with a range from f4.5 to f22. Now the shift ring. This is quite a big ring and as thick as the focus ring. On the side of the lens is a scale displaying the amount shifted from -11mm to +11mm. Like the focus ring, the shift ring is smooth to turn but not exactly fast. There is a lever on the side here which, when pushed, can allow you to rotate the lens 360 degrees, letting you shift in any direction. And here is the shift lock knob, but I didn't really feel like I had to use it since when shifted it generally stays in place quite easily. Like most Laowa lenses, the lens has no electronics, so no XF data can be transmitted to the camera. Also, the lens cap is quite cool and has a twist to unlock it, which I thought was a nice touch. The front lens element is also very bulbous and sticks out a fair bit, and so has no ability to take any lens filters. There's also no hood available for this lens. Overall, I like the feel of this lens. It feels very solid and really easy to shift. The ability to rotate 360 degrees is seamless and very easy to do. Now the image quality. Image quality in the center and corners when not shifted are great. When you start shifting anything over 8 or 9mm on the shifting range, it can start to affect the detail in the corners just a little bit, and it also adds a small amount of vignetting. Both nothing drastic or unusable, and both can be fixed easily when in editing. I found the best image quality at around f8 to f22, and I think to get the best results with this lens, keeping it in the f8 to f22 range is probably the way to go. At these apertures, the corners look good when shifted or unshifted. As the 15mm f4.5 shift is part of Laowa's zero distortion line, this is good news, as with shift lenses in general, distortion is kind of hard to correct. With this lens, however, when unshifted, the distortion is close to zero, but when shifted, you can see some slight barrel distortion, but this can easily be fixed when editing. It's actually pretty good in camera. The lens offers some nice sun stars between f5.6 and f22. I found that the more extreme shifting I did, especially at either end of the image shift range, the image would get a tiny bit soft, so I'd recommend using shift settings around 8 or 9mm to get great performance. So here's a little montage of images. Now, keep in mind I am not a great architecture or street photographer, but this is what a lens like this can produce. So there you go. There are other tilt and shift lenses out there, such as for Canon and Nikon, but they're a lot more expensive. So it's great to see companies like Venus Optics producing some really awesome and affordable lenses like this. As someone who isn't an architecture or street photographer, using a lens like this was a blast, and using it for the past couple of weeks, I've found it hard to go back to my normal wide-angle lens, especially for anything other than landscape photography. This is a lens that requires a bit of practice and patience to use effectively, but one that produces excellent results. It's a beauty and it's really fun to use. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. If you'd like to watch more Laowa flavoured videos, here is the tiny but mighty 14mm wide-angle lens, and here is the absolutely fantastic Laowa 100mm macro lens. Cheers.